It's all about hunting human excellence. It comes in so many different ways, so many different sizes, so many different shapes, so many different genders. And at the end of the day, it's about what does the mom represent, not only as a domestic engineer, but as a professional. And oh, by the way, understanding how to operate within $100 million industry while also managing another 100, maybe $1 billion industry. And I got with me, right next to me is Asher Miller,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And Ash, before we go any further, how can they find you? Because I know it's not Asher Miller, it's We Are the Millers.
It's We the Real Millers.
We the Real Millers,
Yeah.
right?
You
And
know the movie, right?
no, I never seen it.
Oh, it's a bad movie, but it's a good movie.
I never seen it.
But the name stuck because we're the Millers, right? So everybody was like, oh, there's the Millers, there's the Millers. So I was like, you know what? We're the Real Millers.
Excellent.
Right.
So if anyone understands entrepreneurship, the key is proximity is power. You want to surround yourself with people that have what you don't have, been there, done that, and really put you in a position to accelerate by creating ecosystem mergers.
Absolutely.
And I've had the good fortune of getting to know Asher over the last 60 days, really. And what every time I have a conversation where it's even more, not only uplifting, but aspirational, she has goddess energy, she has Zeus energy, but she also has the ability to communicate in bite-sized forms to all different audiences. So what she does for a living is pretty impressive. We can get into that a little bit, talk a little bit about your day job.
Sure. So I'm a clinical scientist, and what that basically means is that I manage different countries across the world on a clinical level. So I've been doing that for about, say, 21, 22 years.
Wow.
But it's not rocket science. Once you get to know what you're doing, it's pretty simple, right?
Is it relationship capital?
Yes.
And is it being able to manage egos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's a lot of egos, it's a lot of managing personalities, and being able to facilitate yourself across different regions, right? And then having to manage locally. So you're not only just international, but you're national, and then you filter it down to being a local contributor.
So you actually have to understand each and every person, where they're from, like what their style is.
Absolutely.
To be able to kind of speak their language. And
Absolutely.
do you meet them where they are to be able to do that a lot easier?
Absolutely. But that comes with a lot because you have to learn everybody's, personal space as well as their personal genre, what they want and what they're seeking.
Yes.
And then understanding who you are in that matrix as well, right?
That's amazing. By the way.
It's a learned behavior, but it's also something that becomes innate as you continue doing it. And to understand who people really are, it's really personalities, right? It's getting to know who that person is and then digging deeper and taking a deeper dive into them and who they want to be and as well as who they can be.
And do you have a process on how to keep people safe, that they know that they can trust you? Like how are you able to do that?
Yeah, for me it's pretty simple, right? It's really just being consistent, concise, and clear.
And reliable, I'm sure?
And reliable. But for me, it's more of just being understanding of where people are coming from. Because it's a one-size-fits-all situation.
Yes.
So it's more of just being yourself and being genuine with who you are and being comfortable in your life and your space.
Truly amazing. And where did you originally grow up? Like, where are you from? If we can go back in time a little bit.
So I'm from Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn's in the house.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Brooklyn's
all day,
in the
every
house.
day. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I am one of 12 siblings.
Wow.
So I'm the last.
What the hell was the sock draw like?
Absolutely insanity.
How did that happen?
I'm the last of both sides of my mom and my dad.
So you're the baby?
I'm the baby.
Wow.
So what happened basically is that, you have to split up these kids, right? There's a lot of kids that you have to deal with. And I was sent to a location, which is, I'm originally, my family is Jamaican, Chinese, Irish, and Hispanic. So I'm...
Tell them how tall your grandmother was.
So my grandmother was 7 feet tall. She was a little over 325 pounds.
Oh my God.
Because she's tall, right?
How tall was her husband?
And he was about 5'4".
See,
my
love is
grandfather
real.
was 5'4".
Love is real. Love's a real thing.
But Rob knows the story, right? So the story is that they met in Jamaica, right? She's an Irish. She was Irish at the time.
At the time, or she's still
Irish?
Did she stop being Irish?
No, she stopped being Irish. I'm sorry. So she's Irish, right? And she passed away at a later age. But
how old?
She was about 103.
103,
yeah.
7-footer.
This is what we think she was, because sometimes they fabricate stories as, they got older, but we believe she was 103.
Has any 7-footer ever lasted 100 years in history?
Absolutely, I'm sure they did.
We should look that up.
I haven't Googled it, but I'm sure.
We should look that up.
We got to look that up.
Yeah, see if any 7-footers lasted 100 years.
So she grew up in not technically she was grew up in Ireland, but she came over with her 3 sisters to Jamaica.
Yep.
Right. On vacations. They have to come over on a boat
Yep.
when they're younger, right? Her 3 sisters, my great grandfather, and my grandmother are walking along. So my grandfather's like doing this, cleaning the boat or whatever. He's short. He's cleaning off the boats and he's just making the wood. And he's a carpenter at the time, right? He goes back and forth. She goes back and forth. She's going to the market. He comes back and forth. Every day he sees her, he looks. He wants to talk to her, but he doesn't do that. He whistles. He doesn't speak English. So he does a specific
I always
whistle.
knew whistles worked.
They do work.
Whistles work.
Okay, if anybody knows me.
Mine is cuckoo.
No, we have a family whistle. That's our family whistle, right? So if you hear that whistle, everybody knows in basketball, if you hear that whistle, you got to go like this because that's a Miller doing it, right? So in any case, so he whistles and she goes, I don't want to talk to this guy, but she's looking, but I don't want to talk to this guy.
Nope.
So she goes back and forth and they keep doing that coyness for about 2 weeks. And they stay on the boat as they go back and forth or what have you. Right? This is a long time ago, right? He keeps whistling at her and he asks her to have lunch. He made lunch. They sit down. They have a conversation. She sits down with him. She never leaves.
Wow.
She stays in
amazing.
Jamaica for the rest of her life.
Wow. That's love.
They have kids.
How many?
He builds their life.
17?
16.
16 kids.
And he builds their house.
How does
and
that
their
even
life
happen?
there. I don't know. She's
How does
pregnant every day, I guess.
Oh
I
my
had no
God.
clue.
Does it stop working?
Listen, I had no clue what they were doing back then, but I was like, you were pregnant every single year
my
for like
God.
17, 20 years straight, right?
Wow.
So that's okay though, but
It's beautiful.
back then that was the story because that's what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
and she knew what she wanted to build in her lifetime, which was okay.
Legacy. Yeah.
And so she has all these kids. We all look kind of weird. We go from very light to very dark.
Oh, you mean because they're Chinese?
Yeah, because they're all mixed
Got it.
somewhere in there.
Wait.
And then,
The grandfather was Chinese?
yeah, grandfather was Chinese.
What?
Yeah. So he was like, when you're in Jamaica, you blend in with everybody else. So you look like he was a dread.
So wait, he was Chinese with dreadlocks?
Yes.
I want to see a picture.
Oh my God.
I need to see a picture.
So let me explain what happened.
I've never seen a 6'5" Chinese person.
No, he wasn't 6'5". He was
I know.
5'5".
That's my point.
Okay.
But I've never seen a Chinese person with dreadlocks either.
Absolutely. There's a whole bunch of them.
Where?
In Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never been to Jamaica.
Look at the Marley family. They all have different spaces where they blend in. So they're half white, Chinese, half this, half
No, I'm
black.
talking about the pure Chinese.
Yeah, they have dreads. They totally have dreads.
Wow.
A lot of them have dreads. Even like Caucasians have dreads in Jamaica as well.
I'm
It's
from
easy to make
Bayonne.
look. I know.
I'm from Bayonne. I don't learn
Well,
that
I'm from
stuff.
Brooklyn, so it's normal to see Chinese
Yeah.
with dreads.
Well, I've seen Chinese, black, Puerto Ricans, but everything, but I've never seen a Chinese person with dreads in my
Absolutely.
life.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
I had one of my friends that lived in California, went to school with me, and she had dreads. Blonde hair, blue eyes with dreads. All right, we got to take you outside the world.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's our family history for now, my family history. So
See how she flows, folks. All you entrepreneurs that are out there right now understand how to overcome certain things that you can't overcome, but it's about meeting people where they are.
Absolutely.
Not where you are. Being more interested than interesting. Dave Belts, what's up? I love you, brother. And Asher, who I brought into my circle, Scott Tennant, here we go. What I noticed about Asher is her ability to communicate and accelerate. Go ahead.
So in essence, that family dynamic for our lives built our whole entire family dynamic.
Acceptance.
Right.
Loving everybody.
Yeah, we understood the dynamics of who we are because we're so different, right? But regardless of we were different, I was then sent back to the United States.
So what
All right, so I was about 8 or 9-ish, right?
First
But
8 years were in Jamaica?
Absolutely. I was born here, sent there because that's what we do, right? A lot of families do that. They send their kids to a different country, get to know the culture, blah, 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 right? Which is okay to me. And I was happy that I lived there for so long to learn the culture and
You
to
go
know
back
where
at
I'm
all?
from. I do go back a lot. I think that afforded me the ability to be versatile, right?
Yeah.
To understand the truth of what life really means and how to function within my own life, right? Because I look different. So I came back here with a very heavy accent.
Were you judged by the kids
I
in the
was
neighborhood?
100% judged. I looked different. I was shorter. And I had all these bigger brothers. I had all these bigger siblings, and I'm the baby. So they were in protective mode because I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm coming back with a Jamaican accent, and I talk like this, and what are you talking about, and all these different things. But I didn't want to speak because I felt very shy.
Were you a good student at all times, though? Were you always very smart?
I was always smarter. So
Yeah.
in Jamaica, it's a different school system, right? We learn Grade 2 is really like, I think grade 2 there is probably like 5th grade here.
Wow.
Right? So I was way ahead. So I had no choice but to conform to this system, but I couldn't because I was bored.
Bizarre.
Right? You
Okay.
get bored. It's
Especially
not
at
like
that
you had
age.
ADHD or anything of that nature. It's
Yep.
that you're bored because you already learned how to play, play certain things, do math. I was learning algebra and reading at 3 years old. So it was all those different
Whoa.
things but that's the system outside of the United States system, right? So again, just understanding your proximity of where you are and how to function within life. And for me, it was more of just learning that and adapting. Now I've adapted, but now it's time to accelerate.
So you're in high school. You knew where you wanted to go to
Absolutely.
college. You knew you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
What
I
did
know
that look
exactly.
like for you? Those.
My
high school?
years around high school was just being in medicine. I really
Wow.
like science. I really like math. Not math so much, but I like science. So for me, it was just learning how to be dynamic in those spaces and try to find my niche, right? My population. So I loved research. I love to write things and figure out things, and things became very easy to me in that world.
Did
so
you read a lot of books at that
I
point?
did,
Self-help,
yeah.
or just all science stuff?
It was mostly science things because I was around sciencey
Yeah.
things, right? And my professors were more of a science-driven mentality. However, they were more of understanding to say, well, you're a little bit different. And why are you so different? That's because I want to see more. I want to do more. I want to travel. I want to influence someone and take my life to a different level.
Did you
to a
know that
higher
in high
level.
school?
I did know that
Were
in high
you
school.
challenged or
Yeah,
anything?
I was.
Was the neighborhood challenging you at all at that point, or?
So I grew
was
up in
there
the
an acceptance?
PJs. Yeah, no, I was a project kid, and
I know, but it sounds like it's safe.
yeah, but
right?
for me,
but
for
you
me, it
had
was safe because I had
protection.
protection.
I get it.
right.
But you didn't succumb to the streets, though.
No,
Is it-
no, not at all.
Yeah.
My cousins and my brothers would never
Yeah.
have let me do that.
It's amazing.
I think the difference was that they made sure that I was the one to win.
Yeah.
Right, and I had a direction.
I love that.
Right.
I love
So-
that. And I know you instill that with your boys and your daughter right
Absolutely.
now. I know that.
Absolutely. And that's what it's really about, is to understand where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Right? Who is going to be part of that journey with you and take them along that journey. But you also have to be humbled to be educated,
Amazing.
right? And feed into that space.
So you go to college, right?
Yeah.
Now you're advancing.
Yeah, so now I'm advancing, I'm moving along in life. I get a degree, get a couple of degrees. I understand how the dynamics of research works. I go to work in a hospital, I go to work in a laboratory, I'm working in a pharmaceutical company. But that's not everything for me,
Yeah.
right? That's work.
Yeah.
And when you understand that that's just seed money in that sense,
Yep,
right? That's
yep.
seed. To build you in a different way is to maximize on your passions.
Maximize on your passions.
Right.
And you knew that then.
Yeah, I knew that back when I was in Coney Island in Older Wire on 29th Street, right, on 31st Street, just watching.
And what is your passion today?
So my passion is for my boys.
Yeah.
It's for my family to build, to get educated, and to continue building and leaving that legacy for them.
And how did you meet Carlos? Have you taught Carlos, your husband? How did you guys?
So Carlos I met in high school.
So he knew about the 17 different siblings and everything
He
else?
did, but he didn't care.
That's
It was
good.
more of just like, okay, but because I'm just such of a driver, but they gave me that wand,
Yeah.
right? So give me the wand, I'm taking it.
And Carlos was a good basketball player? Was that
Yeah,
your
he
first
played
step in?
basketball. Yeah, he played basketball in college. He played in high school, he played in college as well. I was just around it a lot, and I played 1 year, but I had to focus on medicine.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really like I couldn't continue playing, but my passion was always on the court.
Yeah.
So my first love is basketball,
Wow.
period. Yeah, that's my first love.
Yeah, amazing. So you and Carlos start a family.
Yes. So
And now you're stepping into that next space.
that's right.
And the skill set that I've seen is, and we talk about this privately, is your ability to understand how to talk to the basketball mom
Absolutely.
in a way that no one else really gets.
Absolutely.
And you see the big picture.
Yeah. Basketball moms are a lot different, right? I'm not saying that the basketball dads are not running the stage, but the moms really run the behind the scenes.
I'm
So
not confused.
you have to understand the dynamics of a mom, but a basketball mom is a little bit more intricate. They give you a little bit more. They know the nuances of how to get them to practice, where to have them eat, what they
Sure.
need to eat, how to maneuver them in certain situations. So we're our own CEOs and our own project managers in every field, right? So for me, I'm the CEO of my house,
Yeah.
but I'm also the CEO of my basketball house
Yes.
because they are all,
It's two different divisions,
Two
right?
different
The house
divisions.
and then yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So with doing that, I think for us is that we have to know how to maneuver within the world of basketball. And it's an intricate space, but we'll get into that another time. I think more so that you have to understand how the AAU world works, right? As a mom, but as a AAU parent, the AAU world is a business.
Very
right?
important. Yep.
Every touch point is a business. High school is a business, college is a business, NIL is a business, right? And also, MBA, business.
Yeah.
They're all business. But you have to understand how to get your child that way if you're going to seek that pathway, right? So from elementary school, having Peyton and Jordan playing basketball at 5 years old, Peyton was 3 years old, understanding the dynamics of the business side to it.
And even at that age, there was a business side to it.
Absolutely, it's a business side to it because you're still paying trainers to train your kids. You're still going to camps.
Gotta get the right trainer.
Yeah, and you gotta be able to know who's who. You have to market your kid at that point.
Yeah.
Right? It's a marketing perspective. Yeah. And then it's more so, all right, who knows who to get you to a certain step, to get you to a certain space. So it's a network that also pulls you forward as a basketball mom.
So can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Because your experience in the AAU world is unbelievable. I think that if we look at both of your sons, obviously I see Peyton. What was it that was so special about us that you actually gave us a shot?
Good question.
Because it was only built in 100 days, and hearing what you're saying, knowing what we're trying to build right now, seeing where we are right now in Atlantic City, there's 40 courts. I don't know how many courts there are.
A lot.
This is like 12 hours in today. What was it about Epic, and you were on great teams that you really liked?
So we've been on quite a large amount of teams, and I would say the difference in the dynamics of your system is that you are genuine, right? You bring a different flavor to what we are trying to build overall. And I've never seen the education side to it mixed with the basketball side. So you're marrying both together.
Yep.
So in my world of clinical research, we marry the math with the science, but you're marrying the basketball with the education.
Yes.
And that is key.
Yes.
Right? Because you have to be educated. I just said about this world of AAU, it's a business. If you are not educated in the business side, you will never move up higher in the different levels.
And what are your thoughts about kids, even as they move up, getting educated on becoming entrepreneurs along the way?
I think that is key.
Like to me, that I think is because any good, average to good basketball player already has the entrepreneur skill set. They may not be a good scientist,
right,
but they know how to be an entrepreneur because they know what practice, drill, and rehearse doing things every day looks
Absolutely.
like. And they can take that and become their own business person.
They can, but you do need guidances along the way.
Yep.
Like I have my own mentors too, right? I don't know everything,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
We don't know everything. I don't know what I don't know. But you get guidance along the way.
Yes.
But you have to be humble in that space to be coachable, one.
Yep.
To be able to see where you want to go, but you also have to be able to verbalize it.
And how do you articulate a message with integrity?
So for me, it's all about integrity.
Yep.
It's about you being very professional and asking for things that you would normally not ask for.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the key components to building a great foundation for your entrepreneurship, to moving in the right direction. We talk about proximity, but you also talk about disruption.
Yes.
Right?
With integrity.
With integrity, but you disrupt the norm because now you're following the same course as everybody else. I'm not saying to reinvent the wheel, but you can add to the wheel in your own way, your own dynamics. So you create your own proof of concept, that POC, right? This is my sciencey background. You create your POC. Once you have your POC, everything else will come into place because you just prove that you can do this.
Yeah.
And you have those basketball tenacities, which is you have the dribbling, the coaching, the shooting. You have all those pieces.
Yep.
But how do you make those become the best of the best? How do you optimize on that, and how do you maximize on what you have as your foundation?
Yeah.
That's the key from a basketball mom perspective to pull you higher.
And by the way, you're higher frequency, right?
Absolutely.
And you're talking about really empowering questions, and then you just spoke about frequency.
Yes.
Does any of your science take you into frequency training?
Absolutely.
If you could share some of that, I would love. I know Alexa would love that too.
Yeah. So we dynamically talk about metrics. So we metricize a lot of different things in our sciencey world, right? I would say in the basketball world, it's really about the energy behind you that drives your transmission of frequency, right?
Wow.
It's those key components and the powerfulness of pushing that way.
Amazing.
So, but it also talks to the velocity of it. So the speed, the transmission of doing that. In the basketball world, you have to be able to maximize on those relationships. I maximize on global relationships, but in basketball, you have to also maximize on your network
Yep.
as well as those relationships to push your velocity this
Yep.
way, right?
Wow.
So that's the frequency that you want to kind of fine tune. For me, I tell my sons, we change the dial and we continue to change the dial appropriately
Yeah.
without disrupting our own system.
Yes.
And our system meaning our own internal system.
And our
right?
own integrity.
Yes.
What's not negotiable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as long
I
as you
love that.
keep your foot steady on the pulse,
Yeah.
you should be okay.
It's amazing.
But from a mom, I think that's where our momness comes into play, and we use that.
But you, what I really think is awesome, you connect with other parents
I do.
of players
Yes.
that maybe are a year or two, maybe 3 or 4 years ahead of you,
Yes.
as well as you're helping people down here. So you're reaching up, but also bringing people up.
Yeah.
Talk about
Oh,
why
that-
it's important to have a mastermind like that.
It is.
So you know how not to make certain mistakes that you would have made had you not had that relationship.
So we were at Philly, right? And I was talking to a mom.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, this was the
You
good
told
one.
me this one.
Right. So she was sitting beside me. I'm not going to mention any names.
Yeah.
And if she ever sees this, she'll understand. We had this very good
Made
conversation.
you shout out. You should listen. CEO mom.
So her son was playing on a team. He was like, say, a number 3, and the big son, the other son, or the other gentleman,
kid.
the other kid that was
Yeah.
playing, he was number 1. But he was like top something on the ESPN list. I think he was like 18 or 20 or something like that. I got to remember his name, but I'm not
He
going to
was
name
an
drop.
example that had people that backed him up into that point.
Exactly. And everybody was in the gym looking at him. But I looked at him, I know who he is, but I was looking at the other kid because I was like, wait a minute. He was like the Pippen
Yeah.
of the Michael Jordan. So I was like, what's going on with that kid? I want to know what's going on with him. Come to find out, I was sitting beside the mom.
Yes.
And I didn't know this. So I was like, what's going on with him? I was like, he's a really good player. I was like, go, go, go. And I was cheering him on. I wanted him to win. They actually won. But he was such of a force with his defensive moves, his tenacity. But he said something. And she said, we're working on it. And I said, what's up with him? Why is he not being looked at as much as number 1 is being looked at? She said, he got a little bit of an attitude problem. I said, okay, understood.
Yep.
So she said, I'm working on it.
And he's been labeled with that, though.
He's been labeled
We
with
gotta
that. So
eliminate
that's
that.
why you got to pull back a little bit. Once you realize some things are happening in that space, revert backwards for a second.
Yeah.
Get somebody to mentor you and pour into you the right way to speak to people and talk to coaches and refs and so forth. And that will help you drive that way. So I'm talking to the mom, telling her about this, and she's telling me that he just has a little bit of an attitude problem, but we're getting there. And I said, okay. I said, the one thing that we want to pay attention to and tell him this is that what he needs to do is definitely revert back.
Yep.
Apologize if he needs to,
Yep.
right? My apologies on this situation. You know, he's passionate
Yep.
about who he is, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. The next step, develop yourself.
Damn.
Develop yourself mentally,
Ooh.
physically, and emotionally.
Ooh.
This game is a 70% mental, fakash. I won't say a bad word, but it's a mental game.
Yep.
But once you got this situated, everything else falls in place. So I was talking to her and telling her, she said, you're absolutely right. I said, the next thing that we're going to do is just make sure he sets up his Twitter account.
See, she said the next thing, salespeople, we are going to do, she's now getting involved.
Yeah.
And given the action. She defined the problem in a solvable term. Here's a problem, here's a solution. Don't be around people that just tell you what the problems are
No.
without a solution.
Yep. So I'm giving her a directive, and I'm saying I'm going to challenge you to set up his Twitter account and put 100 coaches on there, 100 schools, whomever it is, whatever you want, and put at every coach on Twitter. Post your videos. Keep doing that consistently. Mind you, I told this to my older son's mom group that I have as well, and we talked to them about, being in a situation. But I'm like, focus on what you can control.
Yes.
So you can control Twitter.
Yes.
Put all his videos on there and start getting him on tape.
Yes.
And put those coaches every day, feed.
And to your point, because you said this to me privately,
I did.
you want to be authentic.
That's right.
Show the turnover.
That's right.
Show the foul.
That's right.
Show the good play.
That's right.
Because now you're creating a real massive movement in favor of your son or daughter.
You're masterminding, and you're also manifesting your own destiny in that sense, right? It's your manifestations that will come into play, for real. And it's very
right.
simple stuff. It's not rocket science.
Frequency alert. Frequency alert. Go
So
ahead.
next time I see her, I'm hoping that I do see her. She has literally a Twitter account for herself and her son set up with 100 colleges, coaches, assistant coaches, whatever it is. and send those videos out.
I'm just gonna say it like this: you need to open up a business.
I do.
You should open up a business on this
It's
right
gonna be
here.
on the Rob.
This is like amazing information.
It's not rocket science. It's really something that we moms talk about, but we have to do it.
Yep.
So I challenge all of the moms that hear this, that talk to me, that know about this, to go ahead and maximize your son's potential by doing that, giving them a leg up, giving them that one space where they can be great, right? It really is about giving them the opportunity. And since we are in such a social media context, why not?
You know, you're saying
Why
so
not?
many great things, and I want to thank you for that. The thing that stands out the most, there's a lot, but like, it's not your son or daughter's high school coach's responsibility
Absolutely
to
not.
get you into college.
Absolutely
You may
not.
think it is, so you can blame them if it doesn't work out. But what Asher's talking about, if it is to be, it's up to me. Take those daily dig ditches, take those daily, it's not a lot of work, take those daily action steps just to get it out there. All you got to do is hit the video button, and
Yep.
it goes to everybody because you already have built out the system.
Absolutely.
And now you're beginning, as she said, to not only empower yourself, but be able to create a predictable outcome because there's more attention and energy coming to your child.
Right, and we'll talk about that further under Epic Elite because your system will cover all of those aspects, right?
Yeah.
How do you get to this space? How do you maximize on the next level, right? This is just the first level. It's phase one. We have pillars that we talk about. We all think in threes. We talked about this. Our
Yep.
phone numbers are in threes. Our social security numbers are in threes. Think analytical, right? Your Q&A should be around all the 9 whys, right? Answer every why. Why? Keep answering and asking those questions.
9 whys.
And when you get to that point, you'll understand what I mean. It's called the compound effect,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, again, the compound effect is a book I read. You know, maximizing on your potentials.
Yep.
The 7 habits of highly effective people.
Surviving success.
Survivor success.
Surviving success.
Those things are actually real competent things for you to have your children read. I have like a cheap book that I made the boys read. You know, Kobe Bryant has his whole book, and God rest his soul. He's one of the people that you really, really have to pay attention to when
Yep.
he spoke on podcasts and when he spoke to individuals and what he developed.
He wanted to help so many people.
He wanted to help people, and that's what you have to understand. It's not always about you.
Oh, it's never about
everybody
you.
else.
Yes.
Period.
Serve, contribute, and grow with
That's right.
authenticity. Give with no expectation except for appreciation. Listen, who here wants to hear more about what Asher has to say? Go ahead, click the link below, fill out any information. Also, if you have any questions, do so as well. Comments or any other videos you'd like to hear from Asher or anything you want me to do, please let me know. Asher,
Yes.
all the folks that are going to see this.
Yes.
Overcoming adversity. Take it one day at a time.
Yes.
Staying on the path.
Yes.
What is your message?
When
When it's all said and done.
right.
There's a dash between the day you were born and the day you shuffle off.
The dash.
What is that dash going to say?
That dash is huge. So make every day count. For me, it's about every hour, every day, every which way that you make it count. But not only for yourself, it's for everyone else. It's not always about me, Rob.
Yeah.
And it's not always about my family. It's about everyone else. So, like I said, you can't take everyone with you. You can't take every dollar with you in that dash.
Yep.
But you can take your integrity
Yeah.
with you. And you can maximize on that on this planet while you're here.
Yes.
Use that.
Yes.
And for me, it has a lot to do with those pieces, that comfortability, that energy, that drive. So I'm manifesting my own destiny, but also pouring into my family to make sure they have a legacy to leave.
Amazing. And thank you so much for
Oh, of
coming.
course.
Thank you for sharing
Anytime.
your experience. Strength and
Anytime.
hope. Love it. And for you folks, you got some links below. Epic Financial Freedom app. You want to click that. If you want to get a copy of the free book, feel free to do that. And in the meantime, continue to like, subscribe. We're dropping nuggets on a daily basis. Thank you so much.